Hello, I'm here today with Gena Netten. She's both a friend and a colleague in the Trillium Awakening work path mystical school. Gena is a spiritual teacher whose awakening started at age 15 when she had a mystical experience in which she realized herself as the heart of God. A Trillium Awakening teacher since 2013, Gena is an intuitive visionary who holds an evolutionary and transformational space for students, for the collective, and for all of existence. Gena's work is influenced by Somatic Experiencing, a natural approach to using embodied awareness to heal the effects of difficult and traumatic events. Her work is also influenced by focusing, human design, the Enneagram, integral theory, Thomas Hubl's mystical principles of healing, and Patricia Albere's Evolutionary collective. Welcome, Gena.
Thank you, Sia.
Thank you. Is there anything more you want to say about yourself before you begin?
I don't believe so, no?
Okay, then I'll hand this over to you.
Okay, great, thank you. So we're going to be diving into what is consciousness and just exploring consciousness together here. Consciousness, let me define it as we define it in Trillium Awakening. It's the infinite and unbounded aspect of existence that makes experiencing possible. So, and in that making experience possible, simultaneously it remains unbounded and unaffected by that which it makes possible. So for me, awakening is about consciousness recognizing itself through the forms that it's enlivening and in creating in order to experience itself. In order to have experience, consciousness can't have experience except through the limitations of time and space and form in from the perspective of sense perception, from sensation, emotion, thought. So consciousness can experience without limitation. So it actually needs to create itself as a subject in order, and then also create the objects of its experience. So it's in a way, consciousness is forgetting itself in order to come into having experience. And that, so it can experience itself through our form. And then I think what happens is when our forms, our individual forms, start seeking, consciousness is having an inkling of itself. Mm-hmm. It's like you're getting warmer, you're getting warmer, you're getting warmer, and draws us further into the awakening process. And so it's starting, by the time seeking is kind of kicking in, remembering is starting to come forward. So it first forgets itself, and then through our form remembers itself and recognizes itself, remembers itself. So that's, let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say about that. I think you mentioned in my bio that I had this awakening when I was 15. I realized myself as the heart of God, or God consciousness. But I had no way of making any sense of that. Yeah, and so it was very disorienting and very disturbing to not have any kind of sense of that. So my whole life, I spent trying to really, in seeking and trying to figure out what happened, to make sense of what had happened to me. And so consciousness was, at work in me for 30 years, trying to, bring me back to that recognition, really understanding and really kind of sealing the deal or making complete that which had started when I was 15. Mm-hmm. And so I remember it was probably about maybe 10 or 15 years before I had my, the seal the deal awakening of what we call whole being realization in Trillium Awakening. I was kind of playing around with meditation and so forth. And I was noticing stillness a lot. And I was noticing that stillness between the thoughts, the stillness between words, stillness between everything. And then all of a sudden stillness became getting louder and louder. And I really, that ground of consciousness through stillness really came forward for me. And I really saw that, there's an aspect that was always aware, always pervading everything and always aware. And, so that, and that stillness, it was also a very, it was an experience. It was an experience that I could feel that silence was always, underlying everything and pervading everything, not only underlying everything, but actually pervading everything. And, and so it was much later that I realized that it was somehow mysteriously in that pervading actually also making everything possible. So one of the things that would happen then, this was, like I said, about 10 or 15 years before my seal the deal awakening, that I would close my eyes and I would kind of disappear into the silence. It was kind of like Gena, the movie of Gena went on intermission or something like that, went into intermission. And I started, and thoughts, just were not there. Thoughts were so in the background that I couldn't even notice them. Mm-hmm. And the stillness or this, presence came so much forward. And I felt myself just disappearing, like I said, and in that into that silence. And so I think that the movement of that would also take me sometimes. I would be so, how could I say, drawn into the silence that I would like dissolve. I would like dissolve for a period of time. So I didn't even really know what was going on when this was sort of happening spontaneously in my being. Yeah. And so I started to later, when I reflected back on all of these experiences after my whole being realization, I realized really that, for me, it's like there is, I kind of make a distinction between awareness and consciousness. Mm-hmm. And for me, consciousness, first of all, awareness. Okay, well, let me start over. Okay, I can say I'm aware of something, I'm aware of something. Mm-hmm. And so that, to me, is the awareness okay, you take out the of whatever object, and that is, so there's just awareness. Some people might refer to that as consciousness, but for me, I kind of distinguish that as pure awareness, not having any object that we're being aware of. So, for example, when I would go into that state, when I would just kind of be absorbed into the silence, there was nothing that I was being aware of. There was just pure awareness. And you could even say that I was, at some points, maybe even being dissolving into nothingness, into the absolute or the nothingness. So that then consciousness for me is that which is aware and that which it is being aware of. So that which it is witnessing and that which it witnessing and also that which it is witnessing. So it's the kind of the combination of awareness plus the object. To me, that's how I have experienced as consciousness. So to me, everything is consciousness, because consciousness is really sourcing everything into being. So that's how I have experienced consciousness. So that's how I like to refer to it. But I know that, some people use awareness and consciousness interchangeably, and that's okay too for me. So let's see. And so in the process of recognizing, recognizing consciousness or clarifying consciousness, I think you had said in your email to me, that we need to soften our identification, right, with our mind in particular, that we've become so identified with, and that's what keeps us kind of in the forgetting mode, is that mind that allows consciousness to actually experience at the same time. So it's the forgetting, in the forgetting of that we kind of, are kind of lost in the subject-object duality, right? And so what I like to do is really help students to, relax that identification, to soften that identification, is to kind of do what I consider play in consciousness. So I really don't like work so much. I prefer play, and it really helps to relax the mind. So, and kind of helps, playing around helps the mind relax, and also, helps consciousness slip through the cracks, and more easily. So, and I like playing with perception, sense perception, like auditory and visual, because I find that helps to kind of distract the mind. So I have some exercises that we could play with together if you'd like.
I would love to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So one is helping relax your identification with the thinking mind by listening. By listening to, as I did, and I mentioned earlier in my own process, to listen to the space between the thoughts. So just now, just slowing down your thoughts and listening for the silence and the space, paying attention to the space and the silence. And just allowing that silence to get louder. And come forward even more. So as we bring more and more attention to the stillness, just noticing that it's getting louder. And as the stillness gets louder and louder, just noticing, relaxing the form and thought and your body is in the background. And then just bring your attention more and more into the stillness. And just resting in knowing that the form is always there. It's not disappearing altogether, but it's in the background. And just placing more and more attention on the stillness. And then maybe even taking one step further and letting your attention merge with the stillness. Okay, so then let's bring attention a little bit further forward into bringing more attention to form again that has been in the background, and mind and thought. And also just noticing and staying still in contact with that stillness. And as you bring more of the form and attention into the foreground, noticing that the stillness is always there. Great. So let's see, we can move on to another exercise.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That was really quite yummy.
Yeah.
And
Good.
if you don't,
is there anything else you want?
Well, just, the simplicity of having someone make suggestions as to where you can put your awareness, because awareness can be directed, but we forget that, that, oh, I can let my awareness be with stillness. And I found in my own life, in my own sake also, I kept going like, well, if I'm not quite sure what she's saying, I could at least imagine stillness. And then that would be like, oh, it is there after all. Like, so just that I do find myself forgetting, like you talked about forgetting consciousness. It's the whole way of forgotten it. We've also forgotten how to access it. That's part of the what got set in place. And so just really simple instructions like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Attention is awareness, right? Where we put our attention, it's like awareness is not local.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And awareness can go anywhere, or we can bring our attention, and as awareness we can go anywhere. And look at what happens when we bring our attention to something, right? We actually bring it into, we're not only witnessing it, but we're bringing it into being.
Right, yeah.
It's like you're like, by focusing on the stillness, it's actually almost like we're enlivening the stillness by focusing on it, right?
Yeah.
And bringing it forward into being.
Yeah.
That's how we're created. through the direction of awareness. So awareness, infinite awareness, can only experience itself and create through our individual awareness. Yeah. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. So shall we move on to the next one?
I would love to.
Okay, great. So there's another exercise that I like to do, and this kind of involves the more of the visual sense. So it's the magic eraser exercise, but I have a different twist on it. So I don't know. There are lots of people have heard of and probably gone through the magic eraser exercise, but what I'll just repeat what it is, and that is imagining there's a big, huge, giant eraser, and we can, close your eyes. And with this giant eraser, we're going to just erase ourselves. Just erase Ciel, and I'll erase Gena. And then just notice what remains. So that's a simple one, and you can open your eyes. And I don't know if you wanted to say anything about that. I can go on from here, but.
Well, no, I think I like the simplicity of that one. I haven't done it probably for more than 10 years. And and so it was interesting to see, does it still work? And yes, it does.
It still works.
It's very simple too.
Yes,
anyone in a few moments could just sit in their own some quiet space and just, what would happen? What would be there? I've heard questions like people would say, what would be there if you didn't have a problem? What would be there in life if there wasn't a problem? But this one takes it to the ultimate. What would there be if there wasn't?
Yes,
wasn't any form. Yeah. So
right, and there for me, there's usually instant peace, instant like equanimity or something that happens to completely erased. It's just like
And yet there was still a sense of self that was there in some, subtle level.
Right.
Because there was still something that was noticing.
Right.
The form was being removed.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And noticing that there was no form.
Yes, exactly. and you did use that word paradox a little earlier today. And, this, I forget how nuanced paradox is. Like I want it to be, I want even paradox to be a really simple concept. And yet it's paradoxical that there was still, I didn't erase the subject.
Yes.
My form became an object of
Exactly. Exactly. So this is the aspect that I was talking about before. It's like the subjective consciousness, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is still subject. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's subject. Yeah. Subjective witness consciousness, I guess we call it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, okay. So, but I have a student of mine to thank for this. We were doing this exercise, and he said, "Oh, that's easy, you know." But when I open my eyes, that's the issue, right? When I open my eyes, then everything, you know, I kind of lose that contact. Yes, I can recognize consciousness when my eyes are closed. But what about when my eyes are open? So I said, okay, then let's erase you with your eyes open and see what that's like. And so I just want to invite you to erase yourself with your eyes open.
Okay.
And notice what kind of pulls. You'll probably notice something kind of pulling you, and it's a little tricky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So what are you noticing in your experience with that? Is it a little tricky?
Yeah, it's a little tricky, but so what I noticed is that with my eyes closed and I erased, myself, I then became kind of identified in some way with just the subject or with the nothingness. It's like if I erased myself with my eyes closed, there was really nothing there, but it was a rich nothing. Like when you said like there, that loud stillness or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
It was rich. When I erased myself with my eyes were open, my visual field still had objects within it. And I actually sensed the non-separateness between myself and the objects because I didn't erase the objects. So there was a sense of non-separateness or some continuity between myself and that which was non-self. I mean,
very cool.
Hard to say to put this into words, but it's like, oh, am I now that plant that I have in my room? Yeah. And what about the window? And what about the sky? So
beautiful.
Anyway.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah.
My student, who's still in the process of, clarifying consciousness, he had a, challenge, or he noticed himself being drawn. He said, I noticed how much of my energy is drawn out, mm-hmm. right, into, and how much of my attention is kind of absorbed in, like making sure the objective world or the things that I'm seeing are, things are, trying to control it in some way. So it's kind of interesting. And so I said, well, let's also erase all of those things that you're seeing while your eyes are open. So I just want to check with you to do that.
Do that. Okay, so I'm game for sure. Give me a moment. Mm-hmm. That means I'm going to race you as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely enter into this space without form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'll speak for myself, and I don't want I mean, obviously everyone will have their own experience through these exercises, and I invite people to do them more than once. And yet it's another thing that just happened for me, in addition to that clarifying consciousness to a degree, it also started clarifying the heart connection that I have between myself and external objects. There's actually, for me, and maybe not for everyone, but there's actually a flow of love between myself and objects that I'm actually not aware of. But as I started racing them, there was a little bit of like, but will the love survive? Or do I have to erase the love too? And it actually wasn't actually a scary thing. I realized I could play with that.
Mm-hmm.
I could play with, could I keep the love of just the nothingness there? Or, I didn't get around to erasing the love. Maybe another time I would do that too. Yeah, just, and I felt that, I don't know, I'm using the word love, and not romantic love or sentimental love, but to me it meant connection.
Yes.
But a very heartfelt connection that my being has with the rest of the phenomenal world. And that became more aware to me as as the object of that connection was being erased. So,
yes. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so consciousness is in the process, also, as it's alivening, it's loving that which is it's sourcing and enlivening. That's what you're...
Yeah, that's my experience, and I love that so far you keep sharing with us your experience, like your experience when you were 15, or your experience, 30 years later, and that each person will have their own unique experience, but I think we can still understand the experience of the other.
Yes.
Even if our consciousness manifests its own knowing in its unique way.
Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 Absolutely. And I love using this this exercise with groups, actually, because I find that, and actually I take it to a level that you were, just kind of describing. I find that the group field actually kind of enlivens this. Actually, I haven't done it with eyes open. I've only done it with eyes closed within the group. But the group really kind of that one consciousness is like, okay, are we one? Or is there separate consciousnesses here, or is there one consciousness?
Yeah.
Right. And as everyone's erased, and it's like, there's one consciousness that's having, all of these expressions, all of these experiences, and then bringing attention to, I can also have them erase everything except for their hearts.
Okay.
Yeah. And then feel in the field the connection between all of the hearts, and really take and have people, experience the unitive aspect of consciousness. That everything that it's bringing into being is also interconnected and enlivened and interconnected in this unitive, in the unitive aspect of consciousness.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, because we as Trillium teachers and the students that are watching this know that of the 3 petals of the Trillium flower, there's consciousness, embodiment, and relatedness or mutuality. And I think that sometimes we tend to reduce mutuality to just be actual personal exchanges, and which are beautiful, and we have to stand in our own truth and honor the other. And yet that more nuanced or subtle, numinal form of mutuality, which is just being in that space that we share, and like you said, erasing everything but the heart. And what is still left there in the mutual field?
Exactly.
It's different than if we would just sit in our own private meditation. So I love this, what I feel kind of advanced mutuality.
Yes. Exactly.
So it doesn't mean you get better at sharing your truth or sharing your authentic behavior, or better at giving your coconut yoga, relational things. it's to me that really advanced mutuality is when can we get so cognizant and conscious and aware of this shared space and how what that subtle form that's in the shared space. So thank you for,
Yes, exactly. And that consciousness, okay, is awakening as this one, as this individual, as this individual expression. But consciousness is also awakening as this unitive experience as well, as this unitive, because everything is interconnected in consciousness. And so consciousness is awakening that as well. So that, I love that. And that indeed is how I hold mutuality in the deepest sense. Yeah.
Very nice.
So, and I just did this actually over the weekend, and the day long I did in Philadelphia. And it was so beautiful. Yeah. 5 women, and they definitely were able to access it very easily.
How lovely. Wow.
It's beautiful. So it's like, yes, it's, we are these individual, embodied, unique expressions of consciousness, but then there's also this unitive aspect of consciousness that we're being simultaneously.
Nice.
Yeah. As well as the universal, unbounded consciousness aspect of consciousness that's, that's untouched by it all. And bringing it all, sourcing it all. So, yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow, thank you.
So, let's see, there's another one I have that's more involved with, it's maybe a little bit tricky, but my sense is that involving the body is really important.
Okay.
And clarifying consciousness. And, but I'm going to do that one last. Okay. The one I'm going to do first now, before that is, the mind. We've been playing with the senses, right? First the listening, and then the visual with the erasing and the eyes open. And now I'm just, let's see, I'm going to play a little bit with the mind and language. Okay. So I think the body has a sense and knows that it's consciousness, but it's been co-opted by the mind and takes us into that forgetting. Because it's, so enthralled with that subject-object, and language really takes us very much into that subject-object, duality, right? And so, we get obsessed or whatever, or focused on putting things in categories and labels and, experience. And so, this practice is really about, letting go of the language. So just noticing language, and that we're thinking in thoughts, or we're thinking in words rather. And, labels, looking around the room, seeing, okay, I'm putting labels on everything. And what is it like to let go of all the labels and let go of the words? And so I just want to invite you to share your experience about that. I just noticed when you started doing that, you had a smile on your face. It's like you were enjoying letting go of the words.
Yeah, I did. And sort of, maybe what made me smile also was that I first let go of the labels of the things that were in my visual field. And when those got left, unlabeled, it did open up more of a feeling of more spaciousness. And then I started realizing, but then I'm left with sort of feelings like like happiness, or even even physical sensations. So then I thought, well, let's let go of the label of that too, and just feel it in a more pure sense. And then I wanted to even let go of whatever was that I might label that more pure sense of the inner experience. So it did, it's so interesting too how quickly we can do these things too. You're like, okay, drop the labels of there's a plant and there's a stapler and there's a window, and okay, I can drop those labels. But then it's like my attention got directed inward, and then okay, let's drop those labels too and just be.
Yeah.
It's
dropping. Yes, exactly. Layers and layers and layers, and just. Yeah, and I will say that this is a challenge. I think this is a challenging one if you have an active mind, right?
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
So if you have, if your identification with the mind is strong, I think it can be challenging, right? It's like letting go of labels so it can be
sure.
It can be challenging, I think, for some folks. So I just wanted to throw that out there too. But I love just like letting go of language and letting go of words and labels, and it's just like immediately takes me into feeling of more of a blissful feeling, like
yeah.
So, and I'm a linguist. My background is in linguistics way long time ago. So it's especially fun for me to.
Yeah, right. I can imagine.
Who are we without language? What would it be like to be without language? Yeah. So, and let's see. Yeah. So when you were then everything dropping away and just being, what was that? What was there a sense of, or maybe you can't even contact it now, but was there a sense of being subject, or was there a sense of not even subject?
Yeah, there was still a sense of there was some sense of a subject there. And this isn't, again, the words are sort of metaphorical, so they don't make a lot of sense. But as I dropped the labels, even the internal levels, it was like there's a simultaneously finding some sense of self as both a point and a non-local. Because, I couldn't, if there's no labels, then what is there? And I'm like, there's nothing and there's everything, but there's nothing in the everything. So, it was like, this is interesting. So I would like to do this even for a longer time on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell people that are watching this right now, you can always press the pause button.
Yeah.
And stay with something a little bit longer.
Yes.
To see where it is. But there was a kind of it wasn't threatening, but there was a kind of a collapse into a point. But that point was also somehow included everything that wasn't labeled though, it's like,
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. So there was maybe a collapse in a way of the subject almost.
Yeah. Right.
Or it was, maybe that was starting to come. I mean, when folks talk about awareness, being aware of itself, right? That to me is like kind of collapsing into the nothingness.
Yeah.
Into that total absorption.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was the labels actually subtly absorb us in the phenomenal world. And as the labels were taken away, there was less phenomenal world to get absorbed into, even if it was not being recognized that that's what's happening, and left with just, well, what is there then? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I love playing with these things.
Yeah, and I like that you said that you like to play. You don't like to work. You like to play. So yeah, thank you.
Great. All right. So one last one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is involving the body more. So I like to enroll the body in the journey of recognizing consciousness, because, like I said, I think the body already knows.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll do a little inquiry with the body, and you can close your eyes for this one. And just notice what sensations and knowings arise for you as I ask each of these questions. Okay. Okay. First, tuning in with the body, first of all. Just tuning in with the body. Feeling your feet, legs, seat, torso. Chest, arms, neck, and head. Okay. So now we'll just inquire in the heart of the heart. Does the heart know that I am infinite consciousness? And just notice what sensations and knowings arise. Does the heart know I am infinite consciousness? And then does the belly know? Tuning into the belly. Does the belly know that I am infinite consciousness? Just notice what sensations or knowings arise. And then checking in with the head. Does the head know that I am infinite consciousness? And then just tying all three together, tuning all three together, the heart, the belly, and the head. Do all three know that I am infinite consciousness? And then do all three know that they are infinite consciousness? The heart, the belly, the head, do all three know that they are infinite consciousness, not separate from the I am? Okay. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Did you have different sensations or different knowings that came with each of these three parts of the body?
Yeah, I did. You know, and I kind of, again, we'll use that word paradox in a paradoxical way. And the paradox is because the knowing really isn't different, but it shows up differently, I found, in the different centers. It's like, I say it's a paradox, but there was more of an association of with the heart, that I know myself as consciousness through infinite love. And in the belly, it was like a metaphor. It was shown to me of it being an infinitely large, like a bowl that was holding everything, but it had a little more very subtle energetic form to it, as I knew myself to be consciousness. And with the head center, there really wasn't any like there was, it didn't have even the subtleties of a love or a containerness. It just was an isness or something like that. And then when I allowed my attention to be with letting, well, I'm just going to jump over to all of the centers, not all collectively, but them knowing that they were consciousness. It's like the subtle forms that they took, like the heart being love and the belly being this, it was actually like a big golden bowl, like, you know, it was beautiful. Those dropped away, actually. And it was okay that they dropped away. They were the symbols that let me know that I was consciousness. And when they also knew themselves to be consciousness, they didn't have to show those symbols anymore. And it was okay. They weren't like, oh, you took away my symbol, that's no good. It was like, no, it's okay, you know. It's
awesome.
okay just to be. Yeah, so it was nice. I like the distinction between I know myself as consciousness and energetic centers within me that have a little bit of form to them also know themselves individually and collectively to be consciousness. So.
Yes. Yeah.
And like play, like you said, because it feels okay to play in and as these different knowings.
Yes, exactly. It's fun to play in those, and things start opening up. Like, oh, and more things start opening up. Yeah, so it's fun. You know, it's like I said, I think the body knows.
The body knows, right?
The body knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are my exercises that I wanted to just play with today. And
very rich. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. Obviously these are exercises that you've developed and used for quite a number of years. Like you said, even we're doing a play shop, maybe we should call it, just over the weekend, and led people through these exercises. But thank you for making them available to more widely through this. And I just do, of course, want to remind anyone that's listening to this that you can find Gena on trilliumawakening.org, and she has a page. It's pretty easy to navigate that website. There's a little link near the top that says Teachers and Mentors, and if you click on that, you'll rather quickly find Gena and find out more about her. And are you taking on new students at this point in time?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if people want to contact you, the contact information is on. And I also know that you and your husband both teach individually and collectively. Like, you did this workshop in Philadelphia, and I know that you all you travel around the country and do workshops. So people can, if they want to be informed about when your next workshop is, again, go to trilliumawakening.org, find Gena's contact information, and send her an email, and she can put you on her announcement list. So.
Great.
Is there anything else you want to say in closing?
No, I had fun. I love taking people into the experiential. That I enjoy so much, is that there's so much richness in everyone's experience.